Hello, how are you all doing? Great, perfect, thank you. My name is Ryan Jones. I am the co-CEO and co-founder of Project NEWM. Over to my left, we have Andrew Westberg, our CTO. And if you looked on the presentation menu, it said I was Florian Sorg. I am not him. I am his other half. So he is our German counterpart. So if you're wondering what we are, we're actually a decentralized music ecosystem. And so some of you might be going, oh God, music and NFTs. I've heard that 10,000 times. What the heck is going on? Well, we're doing something a little different. So I'm actually a musician. I'm also a Trojan, so fight on, anybody in the house. So I have a master's in music education as well as conducting. So I work in one of three places where they do music for film. Budapest, New York, and Nashville, which is where I'm located. And I flap my hands and do recording for stuff like that, like Netflix and Amazon and stuff. So this entire concept was birthed out of a concept of, hey, I want to not sign over to a label, and I still want to make money. Right now, you can't really do that too easily. So we thought, how can we do that? Well, you can leverage your music itself. And so this is how we're basically tackling this. So if you look at it right now, the problem is musicians, labels, consumers. There's basically a lot of friction, right? So you have two options as a musician right now to have a career. You go, hey, dear label, give me some money. Anything you make typically or create while you're under contract, you don't own. And so they give you money up front, but then you don't see anything else from them until they make their money back. And then the other option, you can be an independent artist. Be true to your art. But if you do, you're not necessarily guaranteed to make much money. And so my biggest thing is, hey, I'm not anti-label. Some musicians need that. But if you do choose to go the independent route, you should be able to make a decent living. You shouldn't have to have 2 or 3 jobs to then come home and then do the thing you love to do. And so that's kind of the impetus behind that. So we're choosing to do a couple of things right now. And so what we've already done, we've already launched our proof of concept for this right now. And essentially what you're doing is we're leveraging the power of NFTs and fungible tokens to actually fractionalize the IP rights in direct reference to your streaming royalties. So basically, if you look at a piece of music, there's a lot of value there. And not many people know this, but one piece of music can generate 6 or 7 different types of income, depending upon the way that you actually hear the music. So the easiest one for people to understand is streaming royalties. And so here's the thing, is what happens is what we've done is we've actually said, hey, use us to get into Web 2. Don't be just Web 3, because let's be honest, the exposure's not there, right? And you need that. Exposure is currency for an artist. Why would you ever want to keep people away from hearing your creation? That does absolutely no good. And so here's the problem with NFTs and music. All you see nowadays is people trying to superimpose the business logic of visual NFTs and scarcity onto audio. And that's antithetical to you as a musician. You need exposure. So don't limit access to your creation. Figure out a way to help people who really want to support you directly connect with you. And so what we're doing here is we're saying, hey, dear artists, use us as your distribution to get into Web 2. So what happened is, for our proof of concept, to start this off, is we had 2 musicians, one really not known, and then one very large independent artist named Mers, who basically took their piece of music, they used us to distribute it. What does that look like? We took their audio, we minted it as an NFT. We didn't mint their entire song. What we actually minted, and I'm very proud of this, is we minted a legal document as well as 30 seconds of the audio. And so what that actually did is that's the NFT that's minted. And so then we take their full audio, distribute it out to all the regular streaming platforms. And when we minted that NFT, we said, hey, inside that NFT, concatenated in it, there are 100 million fungible streaming tokens that represent your IP. Well, when you do that, you have Lego blocks now you can play with and play with business logic. So what we did is we said, dear artist, you can now sell the future streaming royalties to your fans. Fans had an opportunity to go and buy the IP for the streaming royalties. So it's kind of revolutionary in the sense of 2 things. 1, you've now tokenized your IP. 2, you have an NFT or fungible token that's actually generating you something of value just by being in your wallet. That is not the same as having a picture in your wallet and you hope the value goes up and then you flip it for a profit. That is a completely different mindset. And that's actually bringing in real-fi into the digital Web3 space, right? So we've now connected something from the Web2 that they have no idea that if they listen to this piece of music, somebody in Web3 is getting income, right? And so what does that look like in practical terms? I was driving down the road. I threw on Murs' song called Bigger Dreams on Spotify, and I listened to it. And I got to a red light, and I stopped, and I went, man, I like that song. And then I also went, wait, I just paid myself while I was listening to this. That's a pretty powerful thing, right? And so what happens at that point? You've now created a positive feedback loop. Let's be real. People operate when they have a financial incentive to. Don't fight it. Just know it's there. Tie into it. If you are an artist and you let your community own part of the streaming royalties, they are going to listen to it. And their community figured it out. They went, wait, Spotify, they pay me 0.002 cents per stream. We know 1 million streams gets us $5,000 roughly. If there are 1,000 of us that own part of this IP, if we all agree to stream this song X amount of times over the course of a year, we just made our investment back. That is powerful. That is literally like Wall Street Bets meets Music Marketplace. And that really, really puts the power of the success or failure of a piece of music in the hands of the fans and the people who own or invested in that. That's a game changer, right? If you think about that. So this is what it looks like. So we're going to do 5 things, but we know we needed to start with this. And you're going to hear pitches from everybody. Everybody has great ideas. There are wonderful ideas in this space, and people know where you want to go. But there's a difference in knowing what the future should look like and knowing where you actually start and what are the first steps to get there. Crypto is full of people going, we know what the end looks like, but nobody wants to stop and operate in the confines of what we actually have today, right? You have to work with what's here first to get to where we're going. And so, 50 years down the road, they'll all thank everything for what we're all doing right now, right? So essentially, we did this for Murs and for Nito, our 2 artists. And we have an artist portal where you can go and upload your audio and mint your audio. And we distribute your music to the regular Web2 streaming platforms. At that point, we cover the back end. And then at that point, you've literally connected to your audience. And that's a big, big thing. So that is live right now. You can go and own part of one of these songs and buy it right now, the streaming royalties. And I encourage you to go check it out and go check out the legal document that's actually attached to the thing that you just bought. Because in my opinion, we're one of the only projects that have actually done the hard work of the legal to take care of this. Big artists that have a very large backing, they can screw up. Kim Kardashian was just fined $1 million for something, right? Yeah. Well, she's got it to pay it. What about the artist who doesn't have a legal team? Well, they need some boilerplate that's going to cover their you know what, right? So they need that. We've taken care of that. And that's a big, big step forward for making this accessible for everybody. So a couple of things that we're also doing. So we're eventually going to do 5 things. They're in the works. We're doing our own streaming platform, direct tipping and micropayments to artists, ticket sales for in real life, as well as metaverse events. We have a DAO for governance, and then the big thing you already know about, the fractionalization of the IP. And this is just the start. It's an education thing. People have to understand the tools, right? We are creating the hammers and the nails. It's up to the artist and other people to say, hey, we can build this. We can build this, but it might be best to do this instead. And that's the beauty of this power. It's flexible, right? So with Murs, he sold 80% of his IP. He did it in 10,000 bundles. Our small artist sold 100% in 1,000 bundles. And so here's the beauty of it. And this is powerful. Murs averaged 125K streams a year. That's $1,500 in a year per song. He made a decade's worth of streaming income from this sale, which is massively powerful. The other artist, which I think is even more impressive, has a small following. He averaged 1,000 streams in a year. He did 1,000 streams in 5 days. That is phenomenal math. And so what that just did and showed, it leveraged the power of the community. And that's a massive thing. So I want you to picture something. As an artist or even as an investor, you go to Spotify, you pre-save a song. That takes you to a page to buy the IP of the song. Let's say we bought some streaming royalties. Great. Now you take to a pledge page. Hey, dear owner, let's all pledge to listen to this song X amount of times in a year. You've put a flow together that's literally essentially guaranteed you that if the numbers work out, you're all going to make your investment back as somebody who owns part of these streaming royalties. That's the new flow. And you as a musician, instead of going to a label, well, you take some of that upfront cash you just got, hire a social media marketing manager, and now you've launched your career without giving up ownership, giving up your master rights, giving up the mechanicals, giving up the syncs or anything else, right? And you've only done that by leveraging just one of the IP, streaming royalties, which, by the way, is the least perceived valuable IP. Musicians don't even consider this because it pays so little. Well, here's the kicker. It doesn't. It actually pays more. That little 2.002 cents you see per stream, that's only 20% of the total revenue. Well, when we turn on our streaming platform, we're going to be able to pay more per stream. So what are we doing? We are essentially reconditioning society to value music. We don't value music. We pay $9.99 a month and we consume all we want. People will spend thousands of dollars on a picture for visual art, but they won't spend the same on music. And that's our own fault for making music so accessible to the point where people don't realize the value that goes into the creation that they're consuming, right? And so when you do that and you're able to pay more per stream, what does that do? That's a double positive feedback loop. How are we going to get artists on NEWM? Well, you can go listen to my music on Spotify, but 1,000 streams on Spotify gets me $2. 1,000 streams on NEWM gets me exponentially more money per stream. That's a win-win and a no-brainer. So what are they going to do? They're going to say, dear fans, yes, go listen to my music. Own part of my music. But let's do this too. Listen to it on NEWM. That way, we're going to get more bang for our buck. You know? And so here's the kicker. Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, they're greedy. They know what their profits are, and they know they don't want to cut into those. So it's hard for them to combat this. So that's the problem. And it's going to happen without them, with them, or without them, right? So that's where the power comes in this, and it's really tapping into your community as an artist. And so what that does is it's actually turned your music into something of value that you can actually use to leverage your creation. So picture this. We don't have a visual for this, but picture a nucleus. Here's your audio. Picture all the different IP around your audio on spokes. You have sync, mechanical, master, neighboring, terrestrial rights. It goes on and on. Well, picture this. You, as an artist, can say, hey, dear fan, do you want to own part of my masters? Part of my mechanical, if I'm the composer, right? Well, in order to get there, to get access to that, you need to have skin in the game and all the other types of ownership. Well, guess what? By the time you get to be able to own part of that, you were so invested in this artist at that point, you're going to want them to succeed, right? And so that's a way to gamify your music. It's a way to gamify and give power back to you and to really have a value extraction. Because right now, musicians, and people don't realize this also, labels, their job is to not make music. It's to make a profit. And so the artist and their music are literally a value extraction, right? And we want to combat that. And I'm not anti-label. Labels can use this too. And here's the beauty. One thing from a label standpoint, we have about 30 labels that we're talking to that want to use this. As a label, you invest in an artist. You spend money up front, and you don't know you're going to make it back or not. You just don't. The way you make money back on the label side is through merchandise sales and for touring. That's how you make your money. The music, they don't even consider as a way to make the music, to make their money back, which seems a little backwards if you think about it, because you have no label without an artist that makes music. But I digress. What they can do is they can actually leverage this to get their money back on the front end instead of on the back end of the sales. You don't know if your artist is going to be successful. It's a risky business being a label, right? Well, take that music they create, sell part of the streaming royalties, make back your initial investment, i.e. the recoupment, and now you're in the black on your label, on your musician. You're clear. Now that's your upfront costs, your initial investment, it's paid back. So your risk is basically zero at that point. That's a powerful thing for the labels. And so that's why they want to use us. So independent artists, labels of all sizes, it's a value prop for this. And here's the deal. Somebody might ask, and I know this comes up because we always talk about it. They go, security. Is it a security? Well, here's the thing. IP has never been classified as a security. Just because you choose to represent intellectual property rights in a tokenized fashion does not make it a security by definition. Also, if it's a P2P, that also by definition cannot be a security, a person-to-person transaction. right? So there's that. Also, we are launching in this quarter in Germany as well with Goldman Entertainment. We're partnering with IMX for identity solution. So we will be launching in the most highly regulated European Union marketplace, Germany, at the end of this quarter for Goldman Entertainment, who they manage about 8 or 9 labels at this point. So they can also do this in Germany. So precedent will be set, and to my knowledge, we'll be the only company that does this that will have legal precedent at that point in time. So we have a team of 40 people. And you go 40? Yes, 40. Here's the kicker. 90% of them are equity. And we've been going live for a year. That's the vision behind this, and that's how much people are bought in. I always say this, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's what we do, right? Music is universal. People can understand this. They just need to know about it. That's the thing. So we have 15 developers on our team. Over here, we have our CTO. If you've ever used the Nike Fit app or the Nike Run Club app, I think, that's this guy. He's pulled in a lot of his social capital to bring on a lot of his FANG veterans into our team. So, everything's covered. I can say that the sun does not set on work for NEWM because we're a worldwide company. We have people in Portugal. We have people in Japan. We have people in Australia. The list goes on and on. And they're all very specialized in what they do. And so this is where we're at right now. We just launched our proof of concept about 3 weeks ago. The sale for one artist is still going live. The other artist, they already closed. And both of them literally made almost a decade's worth of income up front. And then the other one increased his streams by over a factor of 10x to 20x. As an artist, you can't beat that. And you don't get that anywhere else. And that's the power of connecting with your community directly through the power of blockchain and tokenization of your assets. And that's what we're doing. And that's the crux of it. And that's a very weird drawing of how the money flow works. But just for those of you wondering, you have Web 2, Web 3. We're in the middle. We pull the money extraction from Web 2, bring it into Web 3. That's the short end of the stick. I'm not going to bore you with this. You can look at the pitch deck on your own leisure. What you need to know is the team that's actually making this happen. And that's what's important, because you can have the best idea, but if you can't execute, it does not matter. So thank you for your time, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and peace out.